This is where the fun begins.
Jedi is something that came a little later. When we started building Jedis, we had a lot of Jedis, and we needed more and more Jedis. As we were doing them toward the end, we ended up with a lot of Jedis that looked like people that worked at ILM, with these short little haircuts and looked like they stepped out from behind a computer. And so I was saying we have to get more exotic Jedis, and so we only have so much resources to do these things with, but I do have Twi'leks because we use them quite a bit in other areas in the Senate and as background action. So I have a sort of a wardrobe and a setup of certain kinds of characters. So it was a way of reinventing some of those characters. And I had realized that we had a comic book that has a Twi'lek in it that is a Jedi. There's a whole series actually of her. And I said, well, why don't we put her in this? I mean, she's a comic character, but we'll just fit her in and have her be a background character because that's exotic. That's how the Twi'lek Jedi ended up in the backgrounds of these shots, was to try to use some of the work and effort that the guys in the comic book world had put into things and characters they had created.
I had fought the worst of all wars and witnessed the redemption of evil. I have seen balance restored to the Force. But order can turn to chaos, as it did when I was born. Now, with my loved ones and my loyal allies, I face a new challenge unlike any before. And I'm not sure this time we can win.
Star Wars Vector Prime by R.A. Salvatore, the first novel of the new Jedi Order.
Are you sure? So be it.
Hello, everyone, and good morning, and welcome to CAF Chat. I am your host, OG Star Wars, and yeah, I'm happy to be here. Man, it's been a crazy 24 hours for me when it comes to being here in California and having one of my kids live down in the LA area. So I am not tired, but I need a little more rest in a sense, but I'm okay, if that makes sense. So everything's well with me and my family, all of that. And my youngest is okay. She is down in San Diego with her sister. And so far, her apartment where she lives at is okay. So with that being said, yeah, it's been crazy here. If you guys don't know California, they have the Santa Ana winds, and which has been carrying the embers of the fire to different locations and what have you. But I'm not going to really get into that. We are here to discuss George Lucas' era of Star Wars and Star Wars news, George Lucas, our Lucas Facts, Book of the Week, and of course, the lore talk, which is, if you guys haven't been following me, we are going to talk about pre and early invasion of the Yuuzhan Vong. And so, of course, and I did not even put any of this crap up into here because I was so busy, keeping track of where my daughter's at and all of that. I forgot to upload my PowerPoint. So I'm going to do that right now while I'm chatting with you guys. I see you guys are getting in here, which is cool. Thank you guys for your continued support. Let's see here. Yeah, I still during the time, nothing I could do but other than just make sure everybody's safe, she's safe and stuff like that. So that kind of kept me busy in a sense with prepping for CAF Chat and taking care of that, all the stuff that's needed here. And of course, with myself doing and prepping PowerPoints for you guys, because I nerd out like that. And I think you guys do appreciate that. At least I hope you do. And let's see here. And let me go to assets here. And I'm still getting used to, if you guys are familiar with StreamYards, they separated like how you can customize your avatar name and stuff like that, and all those little customizations, and also the video portion. They separated those two, so I'm still getting used to that. One is now called media assets, and one is called style. So that's pretty interesting. So let me go ahead and upload these things here. And so how is your guys' day, morning going for you? How is everything going for you? And is there anything, I didn't really check any Star Wars Lucasfilm news. So is there anything going on that I may have overlooked? Let me know. Let me see here. You said, okay. I'm just making sure I have everything ready to go. All right. They uploaded. Cool. All right. Let me see who's in the chat. And as always, if you're catching the replay, let me know you're here. Say hello in the chat. Maybe you can correspond with some of the topics that we're going to discuss here. And of course, press the like button. Now, I was thinking of doing something for channel members and beginning channel members only stream start in February, giving people time to purchase their membership and be ready for that. So if you have not become a channel member yet, you have time. So February, the first, I will announce the dates, but the first week in February, I will have a member chat, and I will invite members in, and it'll be live for everybody, but members will get to have a chance to sit on the panel with me, and we can chat. You can ask me questions. We can go over the latest in pop culture, or even in Star Wars in general, George Lucas era, whatever. So it'll be a very open panel just for discussion and getting to know channel members here. And also, I'm pretty excited. I got to check my email, and I got to get a hold of him to make sure he received the email, because I didn't confirm that. But the creator of the documentary of New Jedi Order, and part 1 already aired on the 7th. I am going to have him on for Talking EU. So that is a show that hasn't been on for a while. However, it's one that I don't want to stop producing. I don't want to stop interviewing people, especially those who are very much into the expanding universe and Star Wars in general, like George Lucas era. So stay tuned for that. So those are 2 new things that I've been, not new, because Talking to You is not new, but those are 2 things I'm working on right now. So get your chat, get in there and get your membership going. Star Wars Scran, hello OG, and hello chat. And good morning to you, Martial Arts Legends. Oh, okay, Rodimus Prime. Okay, all right. And a channel member here. Hey, what's up, Melissa Lord? How are you doing? And Conrado, hello, how are you? And Obsidian Kites, hello there. Hello there. And let's see here. Jim the Despot, hello, Laura and chat. How are you doing? And then Obsidian says, it is a crying shame that a Star Wars have a very less exotic looking characters in comparison to what Star Wars has brought. Oh, you mean like Disney Star Wars? Yeah. Well, there are some really crazy looking, I guess you could say, which I don't like the look of them, but that's just me. That comes up, that's within Disney Star Wars in their trilogy, I guess you could say. When you, I think it's The Last Jedi, where they are at the The gambling planet. Hell, I forgot the name of it. And I don't care. So Jim says it is. They probably believe the nonsense of the prequels hate where CGI is le bad. Oh my God. Let's see here. Iron Inquisitor, how are you doing? And good morning. All right, I'm going to start scrolling and saying good morning to other people. Star Wars Marvel Pierce Justin Revan is a straight white male. Bastila battle meditates some of the best breakfast a man could have. What's up? Look at you. She's a keeper. Right? She's a keeper. All right. And SW Luke UK, another channel member. Hey, everyone. And how are you doing? Good morning to you. And I do need to update and put more avatars, channel member avatars, emojis in. I've been promising that for a very long time. I forget and I get busy. That's just how it goes with me. And so I apologize for that. I recognize my shortcomings with that. Hello to you. And Mike is here. Lots of snow in my area, like the Battle of the Bulge. Oh my goodness. I wish that we would have some rain come through. Last year we were we were hit hard with a lot of rain to where the lake that was drained where I live at, it came back. Caused floodings, all of this. Cities that are in the traditional lake bed had major floodings, of course. And so California really did get a lot of rain. However, the rain storage for certain parts of the state is not well. It's not good. And it's probably why we see a lot of things happen with down in LA with the water issues and stuff, especially for the fires. And it's sad. It really is. But I'm glad that, there was a very, very minimum deaths, even though there was quite huge losses there. I don't wish that upon anyone. And that's what pisses me off when it comes to political talk, is that no one deserves their livelihood to go up in flames. And I'm saying that literally. And it's a heartache. It's sad, to see, and then also kind of be more directly looking into it, because you have one of your children that lives down in that area because she's attending college down there. And so with that being said, California is not in a good state, politically and otherwise, but no one deserves, to lose their homes and stuff like that in such a catastrophic type of wildfire. And voting didn't mean that this happened because of a political, whoever's in the, in the seat at the Capitol, because some stuff like that is not preventable. So, yeah. But however, like I said, I wasn't going to get into this shit. So I'm going to go ahead and step out of that. And thank you so much for you guys being here. And Jim says, morning is pretty good. Had my ration of coffee, read my Bible, had breakfast, and fed the cows. Once my mom is awake and dressed, I'll have her clean house. Oh, that sounds crazy, but it looks like you had a good morning. If EU was never canon, then why George Lucas allowed the company to say it was canon? Remember, George is the control of everything, right? I know, and I present that logic whenever I encounter an anti-EU person, because they act like George is not a part of the company. Like everything else is working on their own, and George works on his own. And statements can't be said, can't be placed or said or made without George's approval. At least someone who represents him in good faith too. So people don't realize all of that, but let them stay in their stupidity. And Soul Assassin is here. Smash that like button. And let's see here. It was canon. It's just stupid Disney fans. Yeah, I agree. And we have 51 people watching. Thank you guys so much for coming in and sitting down and watching. And I do stream over to X or Twitter. So I can't, like on that side, I don't have anything up to see if anybody's commenting there. However, you are welcome to come over here to YouTube and comment and have a chat with us as well. All right, let's see here. And I think I got through. Oh, Diddly Squat, how are you doing? What did you miss? Nothing really. Just chatting and talking a little bit about my life on my kind of personal side, I guess you could say. However, we are going to get into some stuff. Now, I'm going to go ahead and present Lucas facts, and then I want to bring up a bit of quote unquote Star Wars news. I think it's kind of funny that how these so-called pop culture sites think because an item is for sale means that Disney is in despair kind of deal. So that's just a little hint with there. So let's go ahead and get into our Lucas facts. And I do have this.
That's great.
It's going to be great.
That's going to be great.
It's going to be great.
That's going to be great.
All right. So Lucas facts, and this comes off of the Making of Star Wars timeline. This is an online source that I have. Revenge or Return of the Jedi. So 1981, for the first time, Imperial stormtroopers are described as being, quote unquote, clones in the world of Star Wars, a compendium of fact and fantasy from Star Wars and The Empire Strikes Back. So you see the more depth and creation of the stormtroopers and how they came to light, how they came and what they came from. So at this time being in 1981, stormtroopers were described as clones. And however, we also see that as the lore continued to be developed, it then was said that the origins came from the clones. And eventually they started hiring normal humans, I guess you could say, like uncloned human beings to be stormtroopers. So I thought that was interesting to share because like early development of ideas, they do evolve, and that includes the movies. And so we're seeing a part of that right now, you know, like if you go back and just like look up any of the making of or the archives or any of those documentary type books for Star Wars and George Lucas and all those who, you know, were the creatives in the movies and even in the EU and stuff like that. But mainly I'm talking about the movies. You'll see the evolution of ideas and how they changed. And sometimes they changed last minute, as we know, with Vader being revealed as Luke's father. So I thought that would be interesting to share with you guys. Weren't the Death Star troopers like TK-421 a clone? I think by the time we get into the OT area, there weren't really clones. So they started phasing cloning out. Let's see here. A while ago. All right, I got the archives for Christmas, the 1999 to 2000. Oh yeah, you got the episode 1 through 3 one. Did you get the small, vertical copy, or did you get to the horizontal? The horizontal, the longer one, has more stuff included in there. So I'll probably end up updating and having that, so I can have both copies. They're magnificent to have. I think that they're an asset of value to put on your bookshelf for your Star Wars collection, especially if you're really into researching the creation of Star Wars, and that begins with the movies. And once we get to the PT, then you know we already have Star Wars developed, and that's the OT, but we get an a greater extent in that development on how ideas have changed from the beginning. Because if you read like Star Wars, The Adventures of Luke Skywalker, now known as Star Wars: A New Hope and stuff like that, you get glimpses of when Obi-Wan and Anakin fought and what happened to him. And so that's very interesting to see and piece all of these together. And some of these, like last CAF chat, I revealed that when we had Return of the Jedi as the book of the week, that was made from the third script. So it wasn't made from the final script. So you could see the differences in the final script, which is what is the movie, versus the third draft or the third script. And so you can see the significant differences there. So I thought that was very interesting to even share with you guys, just to give you guys a glimpse at why it is different, and how, George, and how scripts and movies, the story does evolve even at the moment of production. So it's very interesting how that all works. And, and then so having novels come out before the movies and based upon what they think was the final script, and then it ends up not being the final script, kind of gives a little hiccups here and there. So that's very interesting with that. So let's see what you guys have to say. Hail tomorrow night. Let's see here. So tomorrow night, Gatekeepers Alliance's first live stream on Mr. Grizzy's channel. So be there. I will be there. I'm part of the Gatekeepers Alliance. I thought I was going to have a clip up here that we had made to advertise, and I never really did that. So I apologize. However, we are going to be live tomorrow on Grizzly's, I'm calling him Grizzly's channel, 7:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So if you haven't had a chance to do it, go subscribe to Gatekeepers Alliance Star Wars Marvel Pierce has the link in the chat right there. So thank you. And he is another one that's a part of the Alliance. And, there's like the five of us, we have all contributed to, in some way, shape, or form, in preserving George Lucas era of Star Wars, revealing, the anti-EU rhetoric, the Disney shield rhetoric, and even the fence sitters or the fence riders, I guess you can say. And that's why we are the Gatekeepers Alliance, because, in this quote unquote culture war to say, preserve, and, what we love, basically Star Wars. And there's other franchises too, because they're all very similar, going through the same bullshit. We've come together as this alliance here to expose, to share, because in this culture war, people think, oh, we're fighting for the betterment, but they want it better under the very company that is destroying the property and continue. Like one good show or a couple of good shows does not mean the franchise is saved. One good or a couple good shows doesn't mean that that things like the DT is going to be erased, or everything's going to be hunky dory. They're, especially when the bar is so fucking low, it's like you're still waddling in that mud, muck, or shit when you are watching the quote unquote good show and sitting in it saying, oh, it's good. I don't mind sitting in the shit to, withstand this good show. So, and we all have our opinions, and we differ on opinions. So it's not like we're over here with an echo chamber either. Some of us want, Star Wars to end and not be produced for 10 years or so and have a total reboot, or even not even to show anymore and just let everything be because we have the EU, we have the movies and stuff that you can go back and read again and again and again and still miss and still rediscover something. And I say that because Matt Wilkins is the proof to that. He did reading. He for his channels, he read everything in the EU, reported on it, and then again he went through it and did rereads and still discovered a lot of stuff. And right now he is doing rewatch on the TCW Filoni version of the Clone Wars. And he, you know, is still rediscovering stuff and realizing, oh shit, this is not good. So he's given it a chance, but you know, it's an interesting review watch for the episodes he's going through. So I highly recommend going over there for that. So tomorrow night, 7:30 Pacific Standard Time, be there or be square. We are wanting to build a channel so that we can have membership choices and all of that. So, but for right now, it's going to be either on Grizzlies or Knights of Melvin, Melvin's channel, until we get everything settled in over there. And then eventually myself or Tim or Justin Star Wars Pierce will also host. So we're still putting together some fun shows. I was going to get my wig and shit. I wanted to get it done before tomorrow, the parody. But if you guys don't know that I'm going to be doing EU versus anti-EU fan, I guess you could say, because they aren't fans, but you know what I'm talking about. And so I'll play the EU elitist, and then I'll also play the anti-EU person, and we'll have a back and forth conversation. It's going to be fun. I think it's going to be hilarious for that. I had the reason why I didn't get my shit together for that is Friday. I kind of kept it on down low, and I'm just going to tell you guys now that I went in to my dermatologist to have a cyst removed from my shoulder. It's in the derma, the skin. You know, when you get clogged pores and stuff, pimples, blah, blah, blah. Sometimes they can turn into cysts, and this one did. And it started growing and hurting and stuff. So I went to have it surgically removed and found out that there was more than one in there. And he thought that there was one. And so the incision became a lot larger. And so I've been dealing with that, and I can't do like upper body, like strength training or HIIT or even push-ups and chaturangas and stuff like that. So to keep, you know, while it's healing, to keep it safe while it's healing and stuff. So driving, I only drive if I absolutely need to, and stuff, and I'm healing well. So no worries on that, but I was just keeping it kind of down low. The cysts are going in to be checked to make sure they're not cancerous, because you never know. Better be safe than sorry, right? And so I never went and got the stuff I need to make these parody anti-EU parody skits, I guess you could say. So that's in the making. I already have one planned out, and so I'm just waiting to get, you know, the wig that I want to wear and stuff like that. So anyways, enough with that. Let me see where we're at here. So this is George Lucas Facts right here. And let's see what you guys have to say. Marshall says, I think the reason people don't read the EU is because they're so lazy to read a freaking book. Yeah, that's basically it. Disney Star Wars is not canon, and not Star Wars simply as that. Yeah, it's a name no only. Like I've seen, the Mandalorian season 1 and 2, it are just outright dole. Yeah. And let's see, it's gonna be a lot better than G&Gs and Friday Night Tights. Gatekeeping Alliance is better, 100 times better, and more exciting to watch and enjoy. Yeah, so it's gonna be fun. I can't wait. Let's see here. I appreciate you people spreading awareness for EU content and calling out modern day Lucasfilm for their ineptitude, incompetence, and hubris. Well, you are welcome. So with that being said, let me go ahead and get this off the screen. Good old George Lucas right there. All right. So I wanted to share this before we move on and go into book of the week and then start chatting our lore chat. Let me just pull this up here because I want to make you guys aware that products being on sale doesn't equate that a company is struggling unless it's official notice that they're going out of business, blah, 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 blah. Let me go ahead and okay. Let me see. I'm trying to find the right tab. There we go. So Disney, this is from that Park Place. Disney puts Rey lightsabers on clearance at Galaxy's Edge as Star Wars fails to enter streaming charts for weeks. One does not equate the other. One motion of doing something doesn't mean it's due to. So this is not a cause and effect kind of situation, right? Let's see here. The hits keep coming for Disney Star Wars under the leadership of Lucasfilm head Kathleen Kennedy, and not in a good way. Two recent developments highlight a growing apathy among fans towards a once beloved franchise. The heavy discounted Rey Legacy lightsaber at Star Wars Galaxy's Edge and the continued failure of Skeleton Crew to make a mark on streaming charts. Again, one does not equate the other, the way they make it sound in the title for clickbait. A recent report from Blog Mickey revealed that Rey Legacy lightsabers at Star Wars Galaxy's Edge has been slashed to nearly half the price of $160, collectible now available for $99. To offer what should be major products such as a steep discount suggests poor sales and waning interest in the merchandise tied to character of Rey, portrayed by Daisy Ridley. Once positioned as a cornerstone of Disney sequel trilogy, Rey appeal has seemingly diminished among audiences. Well, like I said, I hate when my internet decides to just go to shit. So hopefully I'm not sounding like a robot to you guys. Let me turn. All right. So what do you guys think? Do you guys think they have something here? Or do you think this is just a nothing burger? I really do think this is a nothing burger. Let's see here. Okay. Come on. Show up. No, the apathy is towards Disney Star Wars, not towards the beloved Star Wars. Correct. Let's see here. And I'm going to show some proof to you guys that this is bullshit. No one wants a Rey Anakin Skywalker lightsaber. Let's see here. Hi, Darmit. How are you doing? I see you. I see you in the chat. They're failing. I wouldn't get one if it was free. All right. So I'm not going to read the rest of this just yet, but I am going to pull up something else here. So let me go ahead and add this because I was like, okay, let me check things out. Now, I live like 3 hours from Disneyland, but I ain't going to go down there. Let me see here. Star Wars merchandise. So why not look at the merchandise on the website? So if it's for sale at Disneyland and Disney World, then it would probably reflect being sold on their Star Wars merchandise site, right? So here we go. We have the Gunji's lightsaber 159, Ren Legacy 300, Rey Skywalker lightsaber hilt, Legacy lightsaber hilt. It is not on sale. It's still $159.99. I wonder why. Now, there is such a thing as certain items going on sale. To push that item doesn't mean that people's interest isn't in it. Sometimes people's interest, and I'm not saying that people are wanting like Rey. I'm not saying that, or I'm not even saying I like her and her character and her lightsaber and all that. But even sometimes, like a certain type of toy or item will go on sale because it is popular. I'm not saying it is. I'm just giving some examples. And sometimes it goes on sale for clearance just because they want to get rid of the items for the coming season, what have you. And sometimes things are for sale after the holidays, and everybody always takes advantage of holiday sales. Now, like after Halloween, like whatever wasn't sold by the stores, the merch, the Halloween merch, they all go on sale. So people are like, I'm going to go buy this Halloween stuff. It's on sale and I can use it next year. And that goes with Christmas. So there's so many different scenarios to that. So I would think if this wasn't a popular item whatsoever, then the sale would reflect here on their store. See where I'm getting with that? Like I said, I'm not sticking up for this character, what have you, and if she's well liked or not. I'm just showing some proof here. Like one thing doesn't equate the other. And if it was something that is truly not desired to be sold anymore, then that would reflect on their Disney store online. Let's see here. Man, if only the CEO in charge would decide enough is enough. We are getting absolutely nowhere with this, and we are changing course for real. No, they are doing good. Like they are still doing good, and they still have the fans to keep them in the green. I wish Disney learned from Sony and when they effed up Ghostbusters. Let's see here what you guys have to say. To equate, people are going to watch Captain Falcon, Thunderbolts, or any other Disney Marvel trash movies or shows. So I didn't see the first one. Let me see. Because that's a number 2. Where's the number 1? Unless you're talking in the conversation here. Yeah, you are. And you're talking to Dilly, but I'm still going to read this. A good parallel example is that is Marvel Rivals. Granted, it's free to play. Tens of millions are playing a Marvel game whose characters look and act like Marvel characters that want. Yeah, okay, I see what you're saying now. Now we're here. That want. Or they want. Yeah. So, like I always say, it's not just Star Wars that is, going through this bullshit. It's other franchises too. And franchises under Star Wars or Disney in general. OG still can't believe that Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon both almost fell to the dark side over a woman they love. It shows that if Anakin just told him about Padme, Obi-Wan would understand and probably help. Yeah, there's so many like scenarios of like thinking, what if that could have happened and he had better counsel, but Anakin wasn't truthful at all. And so that was his downfall as well, is that he wasn't truthful because he was being greedy with it. He was in fear. And so yeah, but yeah, that's a what if conversation. Very interesting to think about that, right? Star Wars Marvel Pierce says, I'm speaking in apathy of Star Wars versus Disney Star Wars. Yeah. I understand that. So I just wanted to show this. I could care less if Skeleton Crew is making gains in the streaming services or not. But one does not equate the other, like I said. And if this is proof that Rey Skywalker is not well received and stuff like that, why? And the going on sale, like the half price or going from $159.99 to $99 equates that there is no demand. So they're trying to push and sell the sabers. Then why is it not reflected on their store here? And that's the thing that I'm trying to, correlate or show to you guys, that just because a site says that they got this rumor from this blog and they come up with this wild ass explanation doesn't mean that it's actually what's going on. I think it's just clickbait stuff for hope grifting, showing that, oh, well, Disney Star Wars is failing, and this is reason why, and this is proof because Rey's lightsaber is on sale at Disney, even though it's not reflected on their store site. So you guys be careful, question everything that you read, and do your research. Theory lightsabers are peak. Okay, so I just wanted to share this real quick. So let's go ahead and get into book of the week. So if you guys need to fill up your drinks and need to get refreshers, get a snack or whatever, feel free to do so. I'm going to go ahead and put on a commercial and then play the clip, and we'll get into book of the week. And then we'll finally start talking about the lore topic. So here we go.
The fate of the galaxy is now in your hands. With the new LEGO Star Wars Slave One, you can load Captain Solo, arm your weapon systems, man the cockpit, and take off with the most feared ship in the galaxy. But watch out for rebel ships. No matter the enemy, no matter the firepower, you control the action. With the new LEGO Star Wars collection.
I hate to say it, but it looks like the item you're searching for doesn't exist.
Impossible. Perhaps the archives are incomplete.
If an item does not appear in our records, it does not exist.
All right. So I have the book in front of me. I'm like not ready to go on camera, so I'm not going to show it to you guys. But the book of the week is going to be a source book. Now, this one right here was published in 1997. And so it's not the updated version. So, but it's still something that I say get put on your shelves anyways. And the author is Bill Smith. Illustration is was done by David Nakabayashi and Troy Vigil. And the publication again is in paperback November 1997. And so the only continuity notes I have here is that it was published before the prequel trilogy and other lore sources material that came out after. So this is not a complete version, but it's still one I highly recommend to have on your shelves. Look at the 97 artwork. Yeah, and it's very fun to go through and look and read. You know, and you have the Sun Crusher, you have mines, you have the cluster bomb, laser cannons, the Gaddafi. So what that looks like. Of course, you have the lightsabers, grenade mortar. So just a fun, really interesting descriptions, where they were made, their manufacturers and all that, their schematics. And, you know, you even have the planetary shields here, sensor beacon. So all kinds of fun stuff, comm links, stun cuffs. So yeah, nerve disruptor, universal energy cage. So just this right here is something fun to go through and have and use for research. So this is something that I highly recommend to put on your bookshelf. So not the normal novel. This is a source material. Exactly. It's so interesting to look in and read about. Yeah. You know, the only shortcoming is that, you know, it came out in there's other versions that came out, but basically it's just the reprint. So, but 1997 was when it first came out. And, but it's still worth putting on your shelves. Get your books here. There you go. So you may find it there at Thrift Books. All right. So highly recommend this right here. Great artwork in there, great descriptions, a lot going on here that broadens and expands the lore in the simplest things, like a med pack, a vaporator, an electronic lock breaker. So stun nets. So you have all this fun stuff in here to really sit down and read and nerd out about, basically cloaking devices, so force pike. So, and I highly recommend it. You have your thermal detonator. I think I said that already. And then you have the C-Ruvi paddle beamer. So if you're aware of the Trusat Bacora, the CC-Ru, and that species, so it goes in not just, for the Republic, but, it goes into technology that other species use too. I mean, it's not very in depth with that, but there's quite a lot of stuff in there. Like I said, because it came out in 1997. Let's see here. You guys are talking that. All right, let me go ahead and take this off the screen here. And still getting used to these buttons. I swear to heck. All right. Swear to heck. That sounds kind of funny. All right. So you guys, we have this going on here. We are going to discuss the Vong from the new Jedi Order. So not just necessarily talking about books. We're talking about the lore in general. And Vector Prime is basically the name of the first book, but it's basically the first invasion. The starting point, the Vector Prime. And then this map here shows the Vong advance, and everywhere they struck just about. I think there's another one that's more updated. This is the earlier one, I believe. And then you have Sonama Seacot right here on the side. That's the planet. No, I think it's Yuuzhan Tar, the first planet. I have to go back and take a look. Sorry about that. I just totally forgot. And then you have one of the Vongs here. So what we're going to get into here is the early Yuuzhan Vong incursion, so the pre-invasion, going into the early invasion here. So, and I do have my source book in front of me, and that is the New Jedi Order source book here, which is coming in handy, especially since I've been so preoccupied last night with a lot of things that I didn't put down bullet notes on what I wanted to talk about inside these slides, just images. So bear with me. And if there's something that I don't mention, then go ahead and discuss it in the chat, and I'll pick up on that as well, because this is what it's about. I am creating the discussion that will probably bring up other topics that we can discuss within this little bit of lore we're talking about. And that's what CAF Chat's about, is sitting down and chatting with you about the lore. And right now it's the New Jedi Order pre and early invasion. This is one of the few essential guides that doesn't have the Yuuzhan Vong in it, or what? Due to publication date. Yeah, so you're talking about the source book. Yeah. Yeah, and that's the thing. So we are missing some things, and but it's still worth it, because you have the earlier, not the earlier, but you have like pre New Jedi Order, I guess you could say, and prequel stuff here. So it's a little bit more easier to pull things up to research, in a sense. Where do you get these pictures of the Vong? Is there a source? You can find them online. You can, like, source books has them, like what I'm looking at right now has the images as well. And then like the map I have here of Vector Prime and the Vong Advance, that is in the Atlas, the Star Wars Atlas. So another source book that needs to go on your guys' shelf if you're building your pre-Disney archive is the Star Wars Essential Atlas, which I believe it was a book of the week recommendation a while back, like a month or so ago. And it not only has atlas, like the basic atlas of the galaxy and planet descriptions and stuff like that, it also has historical events. So it's a great, and it goes all the way to legacy, all the way. So it's a complete one that you can read a complete historical description under the atlas here, which again, and it includes the movies as well, because it's all one single canon, and it's a great source to have. Great source to have. The Vong is like the space BDSM. Let's see here. I came here now, so I don't know if you've already responded that, but did you watch the first part of the new Jedi Order documentary? Yes, I was there. I was there live as it premiered. So that's one thing that I wanted to mention. Thank you for bringing that up. Is I want to have a watch party of that here soon with channel members. So I might do a pre-February channel member watch party with that, with you guys. So I was thinking about that when it was premiering. Since we are talking about the new Jedi Order, that would be something fun to do. All right. And then you guys could discuss and talk, with all the evidence presented that he provides with the EU and all that, and the development of new Jedi Order, the early development. OG, do you think Qui-Gon would have saved Anakin from dark side because he almost fell to the dark side and was in love with a woman himself? I personally think he would have helped. Again, who knows? Who knows? I think Qui-Gon had to die in order for the story to make sense. I could be wrong, but I believe Zonama Sikat was the reason the Vong chose the Star Wars galaxy to invade, because of its similar to Jean. Well, Zonama Sikat is a seedling or a baby planet, and that sounds funny. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to sound stupid, but it is a seeded planet from Yuuzhan Tar. So, and so there's a whole story behind that. We'll have to get into the planet, both the home planet and the secondary planet. Let's see here. Okay. In fact, I think there was some tie-in relation. It's been forever. I can't remember. Yeah. So Sonama Sikat is an offspring planet to Yuuzhan Tar, if that makes sense. Lucas, a lot of us watched it live. Yes. So there is, and let me see, do I have it? Let me go ahead and show the schedule real quick, and then we'll get into the talk. So if you have the Star Wars, the New Jedi Order source book, or any type of book related to the Vong, which is there's hardly any, or even pick up Vector Prime book. We're not talking about the novel, but that will help with this discussion in a sense. Go ahead and pick that up. Let me go ahead and go to Twitter, and I will share with you guys the schedule. Let me see here. So that you guys know what's going on. And then I'll share here on the community page for YouTube. And then so you guys can see it. Let's see here. Share screen. Is this the one I want? Oh, yeah, that's the one I want. So here is the schedule. So the part 1 was already happened on the 7th. Part 2, invasion. That's kind of funny because we're talking about the invasion too. And I didn't plan that whatsoever. I'm just calling it invasion. So we're doing pre and early invasion. So January 13th. And it has a description of what it's going to be, like what novels are going to be involved in that. Part 3, January 20th. Part 4, the 27th. Part 5, February 3rd. Part 6, the 10th of February, and part 7 the 17th of February. So this is the schedule here. So if you guys want to write this down for yourselves so that you can be there for the premieres while it goes live, then you can join us in the chat for that. And then also stay tuned. Once I get it established, I will have a talking EU with Holocron. I'm super excited about that. So go ahead, and I'm going to leave it up for another couple of, like almost a minute. So go ahead and write down, screenshot, or whatever you have to do. And if anybody wants to share his link in the chat so that they can bookmark it, that would be great. Marshall says, oh, gee, what's the EU book that most people hate that you love or like? Oh, I don't know. Because I find that, I wouldn't say Kenobi's mostly hated, because it's not. But there's a few people I know that hate it. I have to think about that. All right, so I'm taking it down now. Okay, stop screen. And let's go ahead and put this back up. All right, so let's get into this, ladies and gents. We have 62 people watching. Thank you so much for your continued support. And no matter where you're coming from and all, hopefully this gets you more excited about pre-Disney Star Wars, George Lucas era of Star Wars, and particularly this timeline, this era, the new Jedi Order. Some people, I remember some people didn't like it because it was a dark storyline. And it is a dark storyline. And I think that this is something that Star Wars needed to do because, you know, they were getting into a repetitive thing with the Imperial Remnant and just fighting them, and different lords are, you know, and not lords, but, you know, enemies and different factions within the Imperial Remnant and stuff, like the warlords. That's what I'm trying to say. Jag says, I hated it. I'm sorry. Well, we're talking about it right here, so you probably came in at the wrong time. All right. So early Yuuzhan Vong incursions. The earliest documented Yuuzhan Vong scout missions in the known galaxy occurred as the Republic was making its transition to Palpatine's empire. Well, that's not necessarily true, because you have, you know, sightings from the old Republic, right? So again, this one here, this came out. Let me see if I can find the book, the publication date here. It came out in 2002. So, but it only went through, it only went to Star by Star, the source book, which I wish there was a part 2. So the Bantam era is like Saturday morning cartoon compared to Del Rey's second tenure. Yes. But thank God that they decided to keep continuity and still use, you know, still refer back to the Bantam era and stuff like that. Or Red Harvest, I'm a horror guy, Sith enthusiast. Yes, you are. Oh, the show, not the book. All right. So, Zonama Sikat. Since, you know, I wasn't going to discuss this right here, but this is part of the early incursions or what have you, pre-invasion. But since, you know, we had the talk about Zonama Sikat, I will just go ahead and go through this. So it was a mysterious world. Was the first contact by the Yuuzhan Vong's early scout ships. The Yuuzhan Vong explorers seemed merely curious about the biological technology of Zonama Sikat, exotic shipyards. But as time went by, they became more and more aggressive. They wanted the secrets of Zonama-Sikot's shipbuilding. The inhabitants of Zonama-Sikot refused, and the scout ships attacked. So there was a war against that. And this is not going back to where I was saying that Zonama-Sikot is basically a seed from Yuuzhan Tar, which it is. The battle was indecisive. The Yuuzhan Vong inflicted grievous damage on Zonama-Sikot, but the inhabitants manufactured planetary defense weapons seemingly overnight. As the fight grew more intense, a visitor to the world, an enigmatic little creature named Viger, volunteered to accompany the Yuuzhan Vong, providing them with the information she could if they would but spare Zonama-Sikot. The Yuuzhan Vong scout agreed, and both they and the mysterious Viger vanished as quickly as they appeared. So basically that goes into a little bit of Viger's history on her contact, not necessarily like exact contact, but her leaving with the Vong. And they had, like, when you read more into the history of the Vong, Zonama-Sikot is a planet that is in their lore, you know, as well. And you can kind of say that they almost forgot, some of them almost forgot exactly where Zonama-Sikot came from. And so it's a very interesting topic. We'll have to discuss a little bit more on our New Year, New Jedi Order talk. So Star Wars Marvel Pierce says Vector Prime is entry point to the galaxy, correct? So another earlier documented was Bemil. Let me go ahead and change this right here. So I have it circled here, Bemil, and this came out of, the image here came out of my Star Wars Essential Atlas here. This is one of their ships here. Looks crazy, right? And so I have Bemil circled here because this is another documented point here of their incursions. And we know that they have set, and this is documented by the galaxy, the good guys, I guess you could say, but you know, they had set, like Nomenor and others have been planted there to explore and get to know these species of this galaxy, so that when the invasion happens, they know exactly where to go, what to hit, and stuff like that. So very interesting. I sometimes wish that we would have got a little bit more of the Vong story than what was given, especially the earlier accounts. So I don't know if some of you guys agree with me, but that would have been very interesting to get into that lore a little bit more behind the scenes with the Vong and their exploration incursions of the galaxy before they, you know, as planning on when their invasion was going to happen. So Bemil is a system that's in the is remote from the core worlds of the galaxy. So you know that. So it's basically outer rim, and it's near some of the main planets that were hit first in the campaign. They're you know, the vector point where they came in, and Balkaden was the first planet. You know, and so we'll go through that. So Bemil became the final resting place of Mongi Shai. So I probably said that, or Mongi Shai, the commander of the successful scouting mission that returned to the convoy. So again, like I said, this is earlier documentary, and this is documented by the Empire, I guess you could say, like the early formation of the Empire. So Shai and his crew gathered much information about the places and people they had discovered. He did not feel they had been through enough. He also feared that the world ship convoy might not find its way to the bountiful planets. Ordering his crew to return home, he remained alone on the only inhabitable planet in the most remote star system on their path back to the convoy. Using a piece of Yuuzhan Vong communication technology known as the VILIP. So he created a broadcast system that provided the approaching convoy with both a homing beacon to follow and an additional specific data as Mangeshai developed it. Decades later, the Empire would find Mangeshai's remains and dispatch research teams to study them and the alien technology he possessed. Those scientists would be among the first casualties of the Yuuzhan Vong attack. So there you go. So Bemil basically was a place where the beacon was planted. A beacon was planted for their invasion. Let's see. I need to take a sip here. Damn, I'm always losing my voice. Wow, I sound so raspy. Okay, I imagine the reaction of the Vong when they discover that the enemies, the Silentinium and the Abominator were on the Sky River too. Excuse me. I imagine the reaction of the Vong when they discovered that I read that one already. Oh, it went twice. That's crazy. I don't know if you meant to post that twice or not. Ray Saber's selling less is karma. All right. So do you guys have any other information you would like to share that I didn't mention about the early incursions of the Vong? So let me know or put it in the chat. We can discuss this. So Bemil was that beacon point, I guess you can say. You know, like I said, you know, there was Maul had once fought a Vong. There was Vong sighting, or at least a ship sighting in the Old Republic and all of that. So let me see here. There's something I want to play that was shared with me. Let me see if I can find it now. Because I think it's very important to the discussion that we're talking about. Let's see here. Where is it? I should have just bookmarked it in my tabs, but I didn't. So now I'm scrolling for it. But that's okay. That is fine. So if you guys are discussing anything in there, I don't see it right now because I'm looking at a different screen. Damn it. Oh, here we go. Let me go ahead and pull this up. Make sure it doesn't start playing before. Okay. All right. I found. So let me go ahead and share this. Like I said, I think it's important because this is one of the early accounts with Candoris Ord. Candoris Ord. Sorry. So here we go.
It was smaller than most, maybe a dozen meters on the side. The asteroid I had targeted, maybe a dozen meters on the side. On the outside, it looked the same as any other, just a ball covered in frozen gas. But something must have been inside it, something inactive in the cold. The heat of my blast might have triggered something or woken something up. After I'd hit it, spots of light and heat appeared all over the thin shell, still covering it, evaporating the gases. What lay underneath looked like some sort of rocky growth. A deformed rock, pitted by scores of micrometeorite scars. I think something even older might have been inside that. Maybe, but maybe not. It started rotating faster and faster as we watched it. After a second, it started spraying fire, thermal projectiles that melted our armor like wax. We were caught completely by surprise. Before we could counterattack, it fled at an incredible speed. The asteroid I had targeted was
okay. There we go. Let me. All right. So again, this is another account of in a documentary, but like I said, the source book here that I have came out before that. But as you can see with what I shared, you know, you see the lore tied into each other. And you could see how early in the Star Wars history, I guess you could say the galactic history, the Vong was scouting the galaxy. So I wonder, like, if we ever had a chance to get more story on the Vong, like the sale never happened to Disney, that would be interesting to see more storyline with the Vong in their incursions, their exploration of the galaxy before their invasion. That would be an interesting thing to see. I don't know if you guys would agree with me. There's so many things that we could look at right now with the state of the EU, how it was left, where we could say, man, there could have been more lore here with the Vong. There could have been more lore, like with the Skywalker family going into Legacy and what happened and how Jag and Jaina became, and built the Fel Empire and stuff like that, and her version of a Jedi Order that basically was a sister order and all of that, and maybe what the split was between the Jedi Order and hers. So there's so many different areas of the timeline, the historical timeline lore-wise, that could be explored if this buyout never happened. If the buyout never happened. So I've seen that you're sharing some stuff here. So Vector Prime is the Balkaden Hauska, Serpendale, and Dubrillion. Dark Tide, Onslaught, Bimil, Dantooine, and Monolith, and Bastion. Correct. And then, so we'll get into those other ones later. So we're just doing the Vector Prime right now. Dark Tide, Dathomir, Agamar, Garki, and poor Ithor. Oh my God, that was that was heartbreaking. That was really, really heartbreaking. And then you're going to get into Ord Mantell here in the next two books and stuff like that. Oh my God. That was heartbreaking, Ithor. Yeah. So let's go ahead and get into those. I'm going to turn off my little ground heater because I don't need it here no more on anymore. It was cold this morning. Let's see here. Okay. But the EU had no continuity, they say. Correct. So just like Justin shared, the Vector Prime basically is the starting point of their invasion. Balkaden is one of the first places, and then Hauska. And then from there, Serpendale, which then we lose Chewie. And then Dubrillion. So they all kind of happened quick. Back to back are together simultaneously. So it's not like they just like did one and did the other and did the other and did the other. It was a strategic plan, and they all happened within, together in a sense. And let's see here. So we do have Romamul and Osirian, though. That's one place too. And that's where Leia is sent out to have her peace negotiations for those two places where the Vong was stirring up trouble, and getting their feet with stirring up trouble and seeing how the New Republic would respond. By Agents of Chaos, the Vong make their way into Abora Sky, correct? Merkur, yes, and Ord Mantell. They also make it to Hut Space. Yes, that's what we're getting. That's what I'm getting into now, and I'm pretty sure you're still on the book that I'm reading, or maybe you went past that. The Jedi, was it Jedi Trial or something like that? And and they make a deal, which they got reneged on that deal, but that's another story in itself. Yep, exactly. So you have the Romamul and Osirian. Then you have Balkaden. And Balkaden is where they had, they had the X-Gul 4, the scientist station there. And they're the ones that discovered, seen the weird asteroids flying in a way that wasn't, that asteroids wouldn't. So, and that's what got them curious. And eventually everything led to their death because they had Carr there, Yuuzhan Carr there. So he was an infiltrator there in his Uglith masker, basically disguised as a human. And let's see here. Let me go ahead and change this. So you have Vector Prime here. You have like all the different excursions here, all the different places they visited here. I just wanted to show you guys. And again, I highly recommend the Essential Atlas here because you have all the major events and the mapping, even to the movies, on how, where, you know, like Vader and the Rebel Alliance went to and fled to during the movies and stuff. So you have that all mapped out as well. So let me go ahead and go to this next one here. Here is the campaign, which shows on here, but have a little bit more. You have Balcaden, you have Helska, you have Serpendale, and then you have them branching off into different directions, which then, of course, leads to these other places they hit. And then they swing up to Ord Janon or whatever. And so you have all of that right there. So this right here is within the source book that I have here. And it's not necessarily map accurate where the position is, but it doesn't matter. It just shows exactly, like if you were to turn the map to the northern part of, you know, then everything would be up north. So you have everything here in the black highlighted in yellow, basically their first hits, I guess you can say. Let's see here. How to stop to reread and make notes for onsite for the 23rd. Oh yeah, that's fine. I know you have that coming up, which is fine. And I can't wait to listen to you guys chat about that. That's going to be fun. Yeah, Jedi Eclipse, about 8 chapters. Yeah, I don't know why I call Jedi Child, but it's Jedi Eclipse. I don't have the book in front of me. And of course I rename everything. That's just me. That's just my character sometimes. Let's see here. The fire breathes a terrifying agent of chaos. Oh my God, that was so fucking crazy. So Agents of Chaos 2. I know, I said I would talk a little bit about this on here, even though we're talking about the earlier invasion, the first few planets, 4 planets that plus that they came in and took over, destroyed, and are terraforming. Leia, like that book, straight into the war with the fire breathes, basically those type of dragons. And Leia is trying to rescue refugees that they placed on that planet. So it's like they're relocating, you know, these refugees thought they were safe already and out of harm's way, and no, they weren't. And I'm not sure, but didn't she get part of her hair and stuff scorched in this part? Like, this is the first chapter or 2, and it goes in hard. It goes in hard. And I don't remember, I think that because the fire breathers did scorch her a little bit too. But of course, there's no stopping when you're, you know, an ambassador trying to help all this misplaced species from the invasion. So that right there, holy crap. You know, like Lucino. Some people don't give Agents of Chaos any credit. There's a lot of people that don't give it credit, but holy crap, it starts getting darker and stuff. Let's see here. It's a great intro. Lucino's book have great pacing. Yeah, has great pacing. So, you know, we have Balcaden, which is the first one here. And of course you have Yuuzhan Carr and, you know, the one that's the infiltrator and stuff like Infiltrator. And of course, only Danny Kui is the survivor of that. And I'm not going to go too much details. I just wanted to get conversation going on these invasions here in the earlier part of that and the planets. And then Helska. And that's one of the places where they hit. And I think that's where the Yomask was settled in, right? That's what I'm seeing right here. I mean, I should know this. I just got done rereading this. So that is where the Yomask was settled in. And the Yomask basically is the main warship. do the Vong smoke a bong? That's hilarious. I need to take a sip. All right. And I'm trying to figure out, there's a lot going on in here. I'm trying to find the next planet here. Okay, there we go. That's just so long. So, Helska, sorry about that. I hate having like empty air, nothing going on in the background or me not talking. So they use them to mature. Yeah, let me see. They use them to mature the new spawned Yomask. Yeah. So basically, so the Yomask was planted there. And it's almost like this Yomask and the ships, like all the ships and their little all the ships and almost went into a, like, you could compare it to a battle melt, which I thought it was very interesting because in this we also get the Solo kids going through a battle meld, which basically is something that you see way long before, and I could be wrong, but from my recollection, before the PT. So it's an ancient Jedi technique, I guess you can say, that Anakin brings forward and uses and guides his twin siblings in. And then when you look into the lore, Leia had that ability. Yeah. So they inherit it from their mom, which is kind of interesting, that, you know, and then of course, once that's taught throughout the order, of course, Luke, you know, it's something that is accessible to everyone in a sense, as long as you have a strong person, you know, conducting, I guess you could say. Not a good choice of words, but you know what I mean. And so this is basically the beginning of the battle meld as we see in modern times for the Jedi under Luke's order. And so the Yomask basically is one of them too, that I wouldn't say they use a battle meld, but there's a connection to all the warships and stuff like that. And once that was destroyed by Luke and them, by Jason going in and he does rescue Danny Quee. So there's a whole story behind that. Like I said, I'm not going to get into everything that happened in the book, or in the books, but you know, this is part of the history. This is part of the story here. And once that Yomask was destroyed, basically, it was almost like the ships and stuff that were in battle and stuff were losing their way and didn't know what to do. So it was very interesting to see this homeostasis kind of state that are connected with these biotech that the Vong have, and how they communicate, how they correspond with each other, all of that. It's something like we need to discuss as well later on. Yo mosque, yo mama. Yeah, so it's very, very interesting here about that. Let's see here. And wait till we get to Brilliant, because man, that's another crazy one right there. And like I said, I'm not trying to go like story beat by beat, the story in its timeline. I just want to talk about like Halska. These are the first invasion points, I guess you can say, and trying to make conversation with you guys here. So if anybody wants to follow through with Halska and something I didn't mention or bring up about that, go ahead and do so, you know. So, and then you have the Preotorite Vong. So they're a highly specialized group within the Yuuzhan Vong structure, led by members of the warrior and intendant castes. So they're like the special task force, I guess you could say. Conrado. And let's see here. And I love the source book because every planet where they invaded and took over has a bit of history of like who took over, who was involved in that planet, and what was going on during that time. I was reading archetype and I said, instead of saying time, I said type. All right. So you have, you know, the coral skippers, you have the Vong invasion fleet. So that was supposed to be a starting point for them, for the, you know, a starting point to Halska, which got destroyed. You have the Vong priest, all of that. So it's a little bit of information. So if you're beginning to read with us, or you began to reread or read with us, this gives you a little bit more insight what's going on, what to kind of expect without giving too much spoilers to you guys if this is the first time you guys are reading the New Jedi Order. You know, it's kind of like I hate having, okay, where did I leave it off at? I hate saying, oh, spoiler alert, when these stories are, you know, well, like 20 years old or 15 years old. So, where is, okay, do Brilliant. But the Yuuzhan Vong advances as we go along in the story. It like kind of gets more intense in a sense, because like what was mentioned, the fire breathers, the breathers, those dragon-like species that Leia encountered when she was evacuating the refugees. Something crazy. Yes, they broiled the entrance to the ice world. Exactly. I'm trying to leave room for you guys to pick up, and like whoever has read these before to pick up and just add conversation if you want to add something. So yeah, so Halska, basically the ice world, and was an easy point to go and attack even Dubrillion, where Lando had his corporate, his business there. And you know, they were at a loss because they are against technology they never dealt with before. They don't know how they work. They don't know the weak points. You know, so these excursions, they were recording and had some information, but still felt like they were at a loss because they don't know the technology. So every excursion was a chance, a deadly chance, to find a way to defeat the Vong, right? And you know, so you'll see them through the next 4 books of finding weak spots and finding how they can combat against the Vong and stuff, whether on the ground or up in space. So it's very interesting what they did with that, like just reading through that Like this right here, like the new Jedi Order, like everything here, it seemed like it was so well done within all the authors that contributed. It's unreal. It's like, you know, it's, I don't know, it's just brilliant, I guess you can say, in a sense. So Dubrillion this inhospitable Outer Rim star system became the first inhabited target of the Vong offensive, largely because its closer proximity to Haskell. A thriving colony nearby provided the Praetorite Vong with slaves and additional alien for study. Even as the offensive begins, the Yuuzhan Vong continue to gather intelligence about their enemies. And slaves. Now, I wasn't going to plan on talking about slaves, but they did use species captured as slaves. And we'll talk about that too, and how they turned them into slaves. And how Jason Solo was almost turned into one and kind of rescued by him, not kind of, was rescued by his uncle after his uncle told him not to do any foolish things. So, all right. So, Dubrillion Lando Calrissian had his business there. And basically, it was the Belt Runner, the Belt. And it was a place for smugglers where they would pay him to be trained how to run through asteroids and all of that. So there's a more detailed stories to that. It's a very interesting read because the Solo kids and even Chewie and Han and even Luke at one time runs the belt. And so it was basically training to learn how to navigate and stuff through asteroid belts and stuff like that. So yeah. And that's a very interesting story. That's one thing that I would love to get into, but I'm not going to get into it here. But that was another one where they staged a campaign against, and boy, did it hunker Lando and his people down defensively. And just learning how to counter their strikes and stuff like that, and what Lando himself discovered kept him on their toes and relatively kept him safe for a while. I guess you can say they had to leave basically. And the belt also was used as a way to for the Solo kids to go into safety, in a sense. And that's where the battle meld happened and stuff. So there's a whole story behind that. Whew. The Vong remind me of the aliens from the 2006 video games Prey. Interesting. And Lucas Gerson says, more like space Mayans. Well, I highly recommend you go listen to part 1 of that documentary. Very good point there. So go watch that and you'll find out how the Mesoamerican culture was used. Not the Mayans, the Aztecs were used to develop these characters, these species. Very, very interesting. Serpendale. Now, this is one that has the emotional weight. Not saying that the other places didn't. It kept you intrigued. You wanted to know what happened to Danny and to Lando's business and his people and what was going on, what they discovered, and even how they destroyed the Yomosk and stuff like that. But Serpendale, now that is one that has the emotional weight that kind of like left a ripple through the fandom during the time. And that basically is Chewie's death. And then the change, I want to say change, but Han's response to it all and the beginning of his accepting reality, mourning, accepting reality, and wanting to seek vengeance against the Vong because of that. and also his estrangement towards his family during his mourning, which makes a lot of sense if you look back at his history. You know, because he had the Dulana was the Wookiee that basically raised him. So his first memory of a mother figure was a Wookiee. And then having saved a Wookiee who became his lifelong best friend, like a brother to him, Chewie. And his first significant loss, in a sense, because Chewie, Leia and them, yes, they are a part of his life and stuff, but Chewie has the longest history with Han, and you know, and their established brotherhood and stuff like that, and is his first significant loss, which helps with him with another significant loss later on in this series. So yeah, so you have the Serpendel. So it's located in the Julian system. Serpendel has a long and rich history as one of the most heavily populated worlds in the Outer Rim. It's a perfect target for the Yuuzhan Vong as they begin to invade their invasion of the galaxy. The occupation of such an important population center is sure to dishearten the enemy. Nomenor has also determined that the world of Serpendel contains all the minerals needed to make it the perfect seeding ground for world ships. Serpendel meets its doom by an ingenious tactic known as the Yogon's Core. So it gets destroyed by basically having the moon pulled towards the planet. The planet basically explodes, I guess you can say, and opens up the planet into different sized debris where they start seeding their world ships to grow. So not only are they just destroying planets for the sake of it, I guess you could say, for whatever reason, they are also doing it to start building their fleets, building resources. Like Balkaden was destroyed in a sense where its natural environment was changed. And it was changed so that it could be fertile to fit their needs for different various biotechnology. Let's see here. All right. They simply wiped this whole development and legacy, his and Luke's two, made them parodies of themselves in order to promote their new chars. Are there new characters? Are you talking about Disney? Oh, yeah, you're talking about Disney. All right, let's see. Resetting the terraforming and planet mining like we originally thought the Death Star weapon was for. Yeah. So like, you know, the terraforming, which I mentioned earlier and Jag mentioned now, they're terraforming. They're resetting the environment. So they have to destroy and reset so that it fits their technology and what they need and stuff, what they need to plant and all of that. And Serpendel was a planet that fit their needs, and they had to break it open basically so they could start seeding it for their warships. And their warships grew. It's biotechnology, so it grows. And so you go back when they go and revisit the already torn up planet, you could see like the evidence, and it's reported in the story that they know exactly, they see exactly why Serpendel was destroyed the way it was to seed it. It was a great seeding place for their warships. Such an awesome concept. How someone could not like this series is beyond me. I agree. And Soul Assassin, he is still learning. Like the new Jedi Order, this timeline is relatively new. He knows the very minimum basics, but he doesn't know the story in depth and stuff like that. Not like the old Republic. So, that's why you don't see him commenting so much, which is not a bad thing. He's here learning. And some of you guys who may not know this timeline very well are here learning. And that's what this is about. So this is I'm so excited to see him learn and explore and connect the dots from what he knows and what is used in this story and stuff like that. So it just does my heart good. This is what the channel is about. So smash the like button. Yes, smash the like button. All right. And get your books here. And Soul Assassin, if you have any questions, or anybody, if this is relatively new to you, like your very basic knowledge on this era, just please let us know. Like if I don't see it, someone else can answer it for me. That's what this is about. My brain is fried. My brain is fried. Your brain is such a wonderful, like our brains are such a wonderful like storage place and stuff like that. But I can tell, one could be overwhelmed with all of this. And we have 66 beautiful souls watching. Thank you so much for staying with us and listening. And if anybody watching has any questions, come over here, especially if you're on X watching, come over on this side in YouTube and, put your comment down and chat with us. That's what this is about. Chat with us. And I know I'm coming up on 11, the 2-hour mark. So we're finishing up here and then we'll get into the cringe factor. So the Battle of Dubrillion. And I think that this right here is, and I should have put this, some of this other stuff on here. Next one I will have more information on that. So the Battle of Dubrillion, basically, with the destruction of Serpendel, the first of what would be many waves of refugees fled into Dubrilion's star system. The population of Dubrillion and its sister world, Destrillion, have little time to recover from the shocking news that a world is destroyed before Yuuzhan Vong Warfleet arrives. The Battle of Dubrillion is the first major engagements between the Yuuzhan Vong forces and the New Republic. While the Star Destroyer Rejuvenator repulses the Vong forces, the victory is short-lived. Rejuvenator leads the assault on Haskell, but is quickly stripped of its shields and destroyed. Calrissian, never one to discard old toys, calls for the fleet of umbrella-shaped shield ships he had employed at Nikolon, using their massive discs to evaporate Haskell's 4's misty atmosphere. The shield leeches all the energy from the planet. The Preterite Vong, along with their Yamask, freeze to death. Without the Yamask to coordinate their ships, the Yuuzhan Vong forces of Haskell 4 fall quickly. That's what I was talking about earlier. In the aftermath, Dubrillion star system is left undefended. When the next attack comes, the Yuuzhan Vong take the system easily. Lando evacuates as much of the population as he can, leading most of the refugees to Dantooine. So that's another one that we could talk about later. Another wave of refugee flees towards the Imperial remnant system of Bastion and Monolith. Chaos and fear spreads throughout the Outer Rim, even though the invasion is only 2 weeks old. And mind you, I'm going to say this right now, and we can discuss this next week. the New Republic, and it's called the New Republic. It changes names later on because the New Republic gets destroyed. Basically, the government, the capital. They are basically not believing these threats. They are very passive about it. So it's a very interesting read, even to see the aspects of their reaction. And Leia is the one that goes and speaks, and there's so much back and forth with that it's crazy how they treat her during this time and how they see the Jedi as well. So there's a lot of setup here to even where the New Republic is very faulty and they fail their aligning planets. They fail the galaxy in general. So we start to see the early fall of the New Republic in a sense. So let's see here. So dense soul. I will say OG and myself going over things like the source books, story Bible, etc. Definitely helps prepare people as opposed to when the series came out. And I was just reading them as they release. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. All right, your mask is so thick. Her skin is made of Beskar. All right, and so there you go. So the documentary part 1, thank you so much for sharing that. You guys go ahead and bookmark that. And when you have a chance, it's not that long, but it's very, like a lot of the sources that he shares, this, I've already listened to throughout the history, like my research history with Star Wars. So it's interesting to see how he pieces them together and stuff like that. So, the return, there's other where they return to Debrillion and stuff, but I'm not going to get into that part just yet. So these are the first places that were hit by the Vong and the Vector Prime, basically, of their entrance into the galaxy. So their early campaigns. And so I think I want to lead up through all the campaigns and talk about the history there, because we always talk about, certain events and the Jedi side, I guess you could say, or the New Republic side or what have you. But talking about the Vong and their invasion and their starting point and how they advanced towards Coruscant is a very interesting conversation in itself. There's so much you could talk about within the series. You could talk about the Jedi side. You could talk about the New Republic side and their fall and they're forming the Galactic Alliance. And you can talk about what do you call it? The Peace, was it the Peace Brigade? Is that what it's called? Am I getting a different one? Am I getting it wrong? You could talk about that faction, which we start reading in Lucino's installment, Agents of Chaos. There's so many different directions we can go with this conversation that we can, I don't know how long we're going to talk about the New Jedi Order, but I want to really get this. Yeah, it's the Peace Brigade. Thank you. I want to really get into corners of this conversation that maybe you hardly hear people talk about. And I think the invasion is one thing that is hardly discussed. And what happens to these planets and how the Vong decide or what they do of these planets. Like Serpendale is basically a mineral planting site for their fleets. So they can grow fleets. And it's out of the way of the Republic because it's in the Outer Rim. And we know the history of the Outer Rim where hardly, like the Republic, whether new or old, hardly step foot into, or some of the, like most of the planets don't have an alliance with them. And so it's very interesting to see their starting points and how they are transforming or destroying these planets to fit their needs and how they are treating these species too. So I want to talk about the slaves here too, about how they use their biotech to control these slaves and stuff like that. Let's see here. I don't know if I misread you, but the Vong were based on the Mayans, not the Aztecs. Were they based on the Mayans? I thought it was the Aztecs because the Mayans didn't do slave. I remember listening to that. I thought they said the Aztecs. Well, anyways. Oh, it's both. Yeah. Okay. So Mesoamerican tribes. So we're both right. We are both right. I just, when I was listening to, and then I was talking with my daughter, texting with my daughter as I was listening, I just caught on to the Aztec part. So I apologize, but we are both right. Mesoamerican tribes. Didn't Kyle have to save the Peace Brigade? Kyle Katarn? But Lucino said specifically Mayan, but Aztecs when it comes to being travelers. And the sacrifices, because Mayans didn't do sacrifices and stuff. Yeah, because I know my lore on my the Native Americans, you know, and Mayans didn't do sacrifice rituals like the Aztecs, because, and then when you see people talk about, oh, well, all natives, they did sacrifices and they're pagans and stuff like that. They're referring to Aztecs when they talk about all of us in general. So very interesting bit of historical knowledge going on here too as well. But I can see like the Mayans had greater technology building their pyramids and stuff like that, where Aztecs was a little bit more ritualistic and stuff like that when it comes to like sacrifices and stuff like that. So yeah, so it's very interesting to hear that, and I can see that, and I did hear about it in the past, but I wasn't sure. I thought it was just a rumor. So hearing that confirmed again solidifies that with me, that, you know, what I heard was actually real, and I don't have to doubt it now. It's around the 44 mark. Okay. Aztecs came later, and we were more brutal than the end Mayans. Aztecs didn't take slaves, but sacrifices. Yeah. So interesting. It really Apocalypto was. Oh, really? Apocalypto was supposed to be Mayans? No, the Apocalyptos, the people that were being sacrificed, I think, was Mayans. The ones that were doing the sacrifices were Aztecs. He mixes those two, sort like Braveheart and the Patriot. Ha ha ha. Very interesting. That's one thing we'll have to talk about too, is the behind the scenes creation of the Vong and who they were based upon. So and stuff like that. So Aztecs ripped people's hearts out, very similar to the Vong. Yeah. The twin mythos is Mayans also. Yeah. So very, very interesting bit there. We'll have to eventually talk about that too, like what inspired the creation of the Vong and stuff like that, and going from there. So with that being said, next week we'll get further into the invasion, talking about that. And of course, I'll have my PowerPoint stuff ready for you guys. And if you guys, I highly recommend finding the New Jedi Order source book and putting it on your bookshelf. And you can also use that as a follow along here. Again, talking about the initial lore, not the books, but of course, these books are all the timeline is staged through the books and stuff like that, which is fun to talk about and find too, to reference the books and where they occur. Hopefully this gets you guys all excited to read or reread if you haven't began so far. Let's see here. Space Temple of Doom, where the Vong ate space brains from space monkey head. So when people say there's no Latin representation in Star Wars, just say the Vong are. Wait, what? Oh my God, that's hilarious. He's like, wait, I take that back. I was just reading some of the New Jedi Order source books yesterday. Awesome. Let's see. It took forever to get my chat to work, y'all. Sorry about that. Sorry that you're having technical difficulties. That was me when I was talking about Wikipedia the other day. Justin says Star Wars Normie premieres in 30 minutes. If you saw the live, I did add some edits to the version, including some Disney magic near the end. Yes. So let's go ahead and finish off now with Cringe Factor. Some of you guys probably thinking, well, we need to do Cringe Factor, but we are, because we got to have something to cringe at or groan at or laugh at or what have you. So with that being said, let's go ahead and tap into this commercial and the segue video. And so if you need to grab another snack or refill your drink, feel free to do that.
The fate of the galaxy is now in your hands. With the new LEGO Star Wars Slave 1, you can load Captain Solo, arm your weapon systems, man the cockpit, and take off with the most feared ship in the galaxy. But watch out for rebel ships. No matter the enemy, no matter the firepower, you control the action. With the new LEGO Star Wars collection.
It does not do it to me. Wow.
So uncivilized.
I don't know if you guys are flip, but it's not wanting to click for me. And my screen just froze up. How fun. Screen Rant always does something to me. Oh my God, that's crazy. Oh my God. It's like I can't click onto anything. I can't see you guys in the chat on my end on the screen rant, or not screen rant, on StreamYards. Am I frozen to you guys? Let me go ahead and look at my other screen. Page unresponsive. Wait. All right, here I am. I got yeeted out. That's right. Here I am. That's freaking crazy. Wow. Wow, that's crazy. Let me see if I can present this again. Let's give it another test run. If not, then I guess we won't do Cringe Factor. But I hate being defeated. Let's try it again. It's
So uncivilized.
That's how I feel. So uncivilized. Holy crap. That was friggin' crazy. Now let's pull this back up again. Let's see if this wow. Once I start pulling up Screen Rant, everything starts messing up. It's like not showing anything. I think I'm gonna get kicked out again. Holy crap. What the heck? Screen Rant got tired of the cringe talk, I guess. I guess so. And I'm getting I'm getting this page unresponsive. You can wait for it to become responsive or exit the page. And this is from StreamYard. Yes, I got yeeted again. I am back. All right. So, no cringe factor. I ain't going to try to mess with it right now. But it was about, let me see if I can look at it. Okay. Star Wars begins its Revenge of the Sith anniversary by repeating George Lucas's most terrifying scene. That's the article. And I will just let you guys know that there was in the Skeleton Crew, there was a moment one of the characters was standing with the blue lightsaber facing her friends, like Anakin was facing the younglings before he slaughtered them. So they're trying to say that this is a reenactment of the most terrifying scene in Star Wars. And that, okay, so here's the person's name. Jode uses a blue lightsaber to threaten younglings. That's what they're saying. I didn't watch the show, so I can't verify exactly. However, we know that's not the case. So they're just trying to make something out of nothing and trying to say this character, oh, well, he's standing this way because it's in remembrance to Anakin slaughtering the younglings. What do you guys think about that? It's a crap article anyways. I agree. Justin says, StreamYard has been messing with me too. Can't schedule the upcoming stream with Matt Wilkins and Tim. Wow. Okay. They're going through something. Yes, it is. And let's see, to go to a bit further. Oh, okay, that's a conversation. So, yes. So they're trying to say that scene is basically in memory of the coming anniversary of Return or Revenge of the Sith. And it's supposed to be kind of a homage, which I don't think they really want to do that, because that scene of Anakin Skywalker slaughtering the younglings, that's like, we didn't get the full version of it. We just get like the foreshadowing of what's going to happen in a very aggressive way. The way he's standing, the way the younglings are looking at, looking at him, that they're meeting their end. Do they really want to capture that in a show that's supposed to be a kids show? Think about that. So anyways, that was the Cringe Factor article. With that being said, I'm not going to share that article out. I'm just going to give you an idea of what was said and what they're coming to, because that it doesn't happen like that. That character doesn't do anything wrong or doesn't follow through or whatever. I don't know. Like I said, I never watched that scene, but it's stupid. They're like, oh, remember this? Remember this most horrifying scene in the movies? Well, that is just one horrifying scene. You could even say Luke looking at his scorched aunt and uncle at their homestead is another horrifying scene. So yeah, so that's just bullshit on their part to think that this is something that, oh, look at this, you know, so kind of thing. So there we go. And Screen Rat is a Sith factor. Well, don't insult the Sith with that either. I just saw the interview of the actor who played that kid in that scene. Okay. So with that being said, we're going to start closing out now. Soul Assassin says Order 66 and Nightfall goes down as one of the best scenes in cinema. Little to no talking, but a bunch of fighting. Yeah. So it's one of those that really gets you intrigued into the scenes without having any disposition. Like, you know, talk, verbiage. And you get what's going on, and it's so great. So great. So there we go. And here we go. I wish I would have got the video up. I meant to get it up by today so that we could play as we start partying here. But go sub to Gatekeepers Alliance channel, but also make sure you're sub to Grizzy's channel as well, because our first live will be there, and then it will be sent over to Gatekeepers Alliance. But this Friday, 7:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, meet us there for meet us Gatekeepers Alliance there for Star Triggered. I am so excited for that. So excited for that. All right. So thank you guys again for hanging out with me and talking New Jedi Order, talking about the pre and early invasion of the Vong. And I look forward to continuing this talk of the New Jedi Order. You guys are amazing for sticking it out. And those who are watching on X, thank you for jumping back on after all the technical difficulties or whatever's going on with StreamYard. That was crazy. So you guys are amazing. If you're catching the replay, let me know. Subscribe if you haven't. Become a channel member, because there's things coming up in February. I want to be able to have a lot of you guys in and chat with me and you know, and hang out. You know, we hang out here in chat, CAF chat, but you know, the perks to becoming a member is being able to come on and chat with me live in person, I guess you could say, and talk about Star Wars in general and maybe some pop culture and stuff. And, you know, have this greater conversation, I guess you could say. So with that being said, thank you so much for tuning in. As always, I'm grateful for you guys. And see you next Thursday. And also keep an eye out, because I've been doing brief lore videos, and the current one is about the Rogue Squadron. So stay tuned for more lore videos. Even though I am busy, I work my best to give you guys content, or at least keep you guys engaged to the live CAF chat. So thank you guys again. So keep an eye out for that. And with that being said, I shall talk to you later. And may the Force be with you.
Prepare yourself for Star Wars, Shadows of the Empire. The evil Empire has struck back with a vengeance, and a new villain, the crime lord Shizor, schemes to replace Darth Vader as the Emperor's second-in-command. With Han Solo held frozen in carbonite by bounty hunter Boba Fett, it's the rebellion's darkest hour. Now, join Jedi warrior Luke Skywalker, hard-charging Chewbacca, and go undercover with heroic pilot Dash Rendar and his booming Outrider. But can Han Solo be freed and Shizor be stopped? Star Wars, Shadows of the Empire. Look for the authentic figures and vehicles from Kenner.
Someone asked me to give the best reason why someone should read the Expanded Universe. After giving it a lot of thought, here's what I have to say. The Expanded Universe respects the reader. In the Expanded Universe, Luke Skywalker's optimism continues where it left off in Return of the Jedi. He's fulfilled hope to the galaxy, just like Obi-Wan said he would, not like the Disney movies where he gave up on the Jedi or even the whole galaxy for that matter. The character you see in those movies is not Luke. Luke isn't a quitter. He's not a pessimist. He's a leader. He's inspirational. And he's always there for his friends in times of need. Another character is Han Solo. He's introduced to us in A New Hope as a loner, a man who cares only for himself and nobody else. But by the end of Return of the Jedi, that all turns around when he finally finds friends he can trust and a true love to spend the rest of his life with. And that's exactly what he does in the expanded universe. Han is a devoted husband and father to Leia and their kids. He loves his family above all else. In the new movies, Han turns out to be a selfish deadbeat dad who ran out on his family when things get tough. It's a complete 180 from the character that we saw from Return of the Jedi. Now, another thing the EU does is it rewards its readers. Attention to detail when it comes to continuity has never been done at such a level as when it was performed by the expanded universe. Avid readers will constantly be rewarded for their diligence as comics, novels, video games, and even children's books share connections throughout the entire series, making it almost a flawless, continuous story. And though it has its minor flaws, it's still the best overall story and continuity out there, period. That's what the EU does. It respects and rewards its readers. And that's the best reason you should give it a try. Long live the expanded universe.